In this video, we're reviewing when a run scores, which of course is a crucial aspect of the game, but also one that often gets overlooked in training. There's a pretty significant difference in the location of this rule between NFHS and OBR, and it can result in this rule being overlooked by instructors coming from a professional background. So in this video, we'll cover the basics of when a run scores before there are 3 outs, along with the 5 key exceptions that can cause confusion. After that, we'll jump into case plays to help clarify the lesson. Hi everyone, I'm Patrick Farber with GHSA Baseball Umpire Development and Umpire Classroom, where we help umpires develop their knowledge and skills. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and you can find more umpire training content and videos by visiting our website at umpireclassroom.com. To start, we'll look at NFHS Rule 9, which covers scoring and record keeping. This is a noticeable difference between high school and official baseball rules, and one that may throw off umpires with a professional background, because in pro schools, they completely ignore teaching Rule 9, which in OBR is specific to the official scorer. Umpires need to be aware that while most of Rule 9 at the high school level also does not apply to our job as umpires, Rule 9-1-1 does apply and has some extremely important case plays attached to it in the casebook. So let's get into Rule 9-1-1. A runner scores 1 run each time the runner legally advances to and touches first, second, third, and then home plate before 3 outs to end the inning. You're probably familiar with the basic concept here. Touch all the bases in home before the 3rd out and you score a run. Pretty simple. But where people do tend to get confused and make mistakes is when we get into the 5 exceptions where a run does not score. So let's break down those exceptions. 9-1-1 exception. A run is not scored if the runner advances to home plate during action in which the 3rd out is made as follows. A, by the batter runner before the batter runner touches first base, or B, by another runner being forced out. Now, let's look at the definition of a force play in Rule 2-29-3. A force play is a play in which a runner, or 2 or 3 runners, loses the right to the base the runner occupies and is forced to advance because the batter becomes a batter runner. For a given runner, a force play ends as soon as the runner touches the next base, or a following runner is put out at a previous base. When a runner advances beyond a base to which the runner is forced without touching it, the force play remains. Also, a force situation is reinstated when a runner retreats past the base to which the runner was forced to advance. There are 4 principles we need to take away from this definition. First is the fundamental of what creates a force play, which is the batter becoming a batter runner. That terminology of batter becoming a batter runner will become a key phrase for you when thinking through plays and what runs score. Second is when a force play ends for each runner. It ends as soon as a runner touches the next base or once a following runner is put out. Third, a missed base keeps the force play active, so if a runner misses the base they are forced to advance to, the defense can still record a force out by tagging the base before the runner returns. And finally, retreating reinstates a force. So if a runner retreats past the base to which they were forced, the force play is reinstated. We can also find more clarity on force plays in Rule 8-4-2J, which is pretty similar to the definition. Any runner is out when the runner fails to reach the next base before a fielder either tags the runner out or holds the ball while touching such base after a runner has been forced from the base the runner occupied because the batter became a runner with ball in play when other runners were on first base, or on first and second, or on first, second, and third. There shall be no accidental appeals on a force play. No runner may be forced out if a runner who follows in the batting order is first put out, including a batter runner who is out for an infield fly. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but there are some points I will highlight. First, this rule explains the chain reaction of how a force can occur on a runner that occupies third at the time of the pitch. In a bases loaded scenario, batter to first, R1 forced to second, R2 forced to third, and R3 forced to home. Of course, if the scenario has runners on first and third only, R1 is forced to second, but R3 is not forced to home. Second, we have the how a force out occurs, which is the defense either tags the base or the runner. This is also found in the definition of a force out in Rule 2-24-1. And to close this out, there is a note that once again highlights that a force out is removed when a following runner or batter runner is put out. Now let's go back to the exceptions where the run does not score. We just covered A and B, so let's look at 9-1-1 exception C. A run is not scored if the runner advances to home plate during action in which the third out is made by a preceding runner who is declared out upon appeal because the runner failed to touch all of the bases or left a base too soon on a caught fly ball. So anytime a previous runner is called out for the third out of an inning, following runners that may have crossed the plate do not score. Of course, the only way for this put out to happen is going to have to be through an appeal. So let's take an example with a 2-out, bases loaded inside the park home run. If R1 misses third and is called out on appeal, then 2 runs will score on the play. R3 and R2 score because the out was not a force out, and the batter runner does not score because a preceding runner was called out on appeal. For a different play, let's look at what is one of the most common time-play scenarios that often results in confusion with this rule. Runners on first and third and 1 out with R1 stealing on the pitch. A fly ball to deep right field is caught for the second out. R3 tags and touches home before the ball is thrown to first base. The ball beats R1 back to first base. So R1 is out for the third out of the inning because he did not retouch his base after a caught fly ball. But the question to you is, what type of out was made at first? Well, it wasn't a force out because the batter runner was put out when the catch was made. So the defense in this play is appealing that the runner did not retouch. Because this is an appeal play, it is a timing play, so the run by R3 will score. Back to the exceptions, we have 9-1-1 D and E. A run is not scored if the runner advances to home plate during action in which the third out is D, declared during a play resulting from valid defensive appeal, which results in a force out. This out takes precedence if enforcement of it would negate a score. Or E, when there is more than 1 out declared by the umpire, which terminates the half inning. The defensive team may select the out, which is to its advantage. We already clarified that a force out for the third out negates a run scoring on this play, and that an appeal of a missed bag a runner was forced to advance to is still a force out. Now in E, it's interesting because it clarifies that a fourth out can be selected for use by the defense instead of the original third out in the inning. For example, let's look at our bases loaded inside the park home run. If the batter runner had been thrown out at home, that would be the third out. But the defense could still appeal that R1 missed third base. With a proper appeal, R1 would be the fourth out, but the defense would want that out because then 2 runs score, not 3. And just for fun, if they then appeal that the batter runner missed first, this could be the 5th out and would be the best one for the defense because no runs score on a play where the third out is made on the batter runner before he touches first base. To close this out, there are a couple notes here I want you to be aware of. Firstly is that if a fielder obstructs a runner, we can award a base as touched and can award a base as having been touched earlier than the final out. For example, let's take a play with R2 and 2 outs. On a base hit, R2 is obstructed around third, misses third, and fails to reach home before the batter runner is thrown out at second. The plate umpire can award that R2 did touch third and that the runner crossed home before the third out. We want to give the benefit of the doubt to the offense here since the violation was by the defense. Secondly, when a winning run is scored in the bottom of the last inning and forces all runners to advance, Rule 9-1-1 clarifies that all runners must advance to their next base, and the game cannot end until that happens. That is an extremely important rule for us because it means that on a 2-out, bases loaded walk-off walk, if R2 runs to first to celebrate with the batter and then the defense appeals R2 did not touch third, that is the third out of the inning. Not only that, it falls under exception D that no run scores on an appeal that results in a force out like this out here. This is why it's so important to make sure those runners advance on a play like this. Now, to help you better understand these rules and how they will show up in your games, let's look at case plays, which are also available in the video description. Case play number 1. R3, R1, 2 outs. B5 hits a fair, slow roller towards first base. B5 interferes with F3, who is trying to field the ball. However, R3 scores before the interference. Does the run score since R3 touched home plate before the interference? The correct answer here is no. Because the third out is on the batter runner before the batter runner reaches first, no runs can score on this play. Case play number 2. R2, R1, 1 out. B4 hits a long fly that appears to be uncatchable but is caught by F8. R2 retouches second and advances home but misses third base. R1 fails to retouch first base and advances to third base. End of playing action, the defense appeals R1 did not retouch. The umpire calls R1 out and the defense leaves the field. Is this A, no run score, B, 1 run scores, the defense can verbally appeal that R2 missed third and change the result to no run score, C, 1 run scores, the defense cannot appeal R2 missed third because they have already made 3 outs in the inning, D, 1 run scores, the defense cannot appeal R2 missed third base because they have already left the field. The correct answer here is D, 1 run scores. The reason 1 run scores is because the fly out being caught is the second out, and the out on R1 is going to be the third out, but that's not a force out. Remember, the batter is no longer a batter runner, so there's no longer a force. This is an appeal play, and because it's an appeal play, it's a timing play. So since R2 crossed home before the third out is made at first, that run is going to count. And once the defense leaves the infield, they no longer have the option to appeal the play. Case play number 3. This is the same play, but at the end of playing action, the defense appeals R1 did not retouch. Then they appeal that R2 missed third base. Is this A, no run score, the third out of the inning was a force out, B, no run score, the defense can choose to take the out on R2 instead of the out on R1, resulting in no run scoring, or C, 1 run scores, the third out of the inning was the out at first base. The out was recorded after R2 touched home. The correct answer here is B, no run score. Now, the third out of this play is going to be that out made at first, and that is not a force out. But the defense instead goes for a 4th out by appealing that R2 missed third. And they're going to want to take that out at third base because taking that out results in no run scoring. So the correct answer here is going to be B. Case play number 4. R1, 2 outs. B4 hits the next pitch for an inside the park home run. After the playing action, the defense appeals that B4 missed second base and B4 is called out. Is this A, no run score, or B, 1 run scores? The correct answer here is B. 1 run is going to score, and the reason for that is that this is a straight timing play. None of the 5 exceptions apply here, so because R1 crossed home before the appeal out, in that scenario, the run will score. Case play number 5. R3, R1, 2 outs. B5 receives a 4th ball. An overthrow at third permits R3 to reach home. R1 advances to third, and B5 advances to second. The defense appeals R1 did not touch second, and R1 is called out. Is this A, no run score, or B, 1 run scores? The correct answer here is A. No runs are going to score because the bag that R1 missed was second, and they were forced to advance to that base at the time that they missed the bag. So with that, on proper appeal, we have a force out, and that means that no runs score on the play. Case play number 6. Bases loaded and 1 out. B5 hits a fly ball to F8 for the second out. All base runners except R1 tag up and try to advance 1 base. F8's throw to F5 retires R2 for the third out, but after R3 has scored. R1 did not tag up and was detected leaving first base early, and at the conclusion of all action upon appeal, the umpire declares R1 out for the 4th out. Does the run by R3 count? Is this A, yes, B, no, a 4th out negates the run, C, no, the out at first base is a force out? The correct answer here is A. The run does count because the outs that we had here to end the inning, first of all, the 4th out, just that it's a 4th out doesn't mean it's a force out or that it takes away all runs. The 4th out being made here is an appeal play, not a force out, And for that reason, this is just a straight up timing play, so the runner will score. Case play number 7. Bases loaded and 1 out. B5 hits safely to right field. R3 scores, R2 misses third base and scores, and R1 is thrown out at third base. At the end of playing action, time is called, the defense makes a proper appeal, and the umpire declares R2 out. How many runs score? Is this A, no run score, B, 1 run scores, C, 2 run score? The correct answer here is A, no runs are going to score. Now, a lot of people miss this, and this is one of the harder case plays that I've come across in my time teaching. When we look at the case play, we note that the second out made is on R1 at third base. Now, after that, they're going to appeal that R2 missed third. And the appeal being upheld makes that appeal the third out. But what trips a lot of people up here is that this out at third base happens after a following runner has been called out. And we saw the note earlier that if someone following in the batting order is called out, that removes a force out. But the logic behind this is that that's a bag that the runner missed at a time when they were forced to touch that bag. So like when they were rounding around third base, R1 had not yet been retired. So they were still forced to touch that base and they missed it. And even though a following runner has since been called out, at the time that the base was missed, that was a force out. And then we can look at the definition of a force out and bring that back into play here for the missed bag. And because of that, since the last out was a force out, no runs score on the play. Case play number 8. Bases loaded and no outs. B1 grounds into a 6-4-3 double play as R3 and R2 score. R2 misses third base and is declared out for the third out upon proper appeal. Is this A, no run score, B, 1 run scores, C, 2 runs score? The correct answer here is B, 1 run is going to score. Now, I understand that that sounds contradictory to the last case play, and it kind of can feel that way for sure. But when we look at this play on a 6-4-3 double play, the logic that you're supposed to have here is that the out at second base was made before R2 missed third. So because of that reason, R2 missed third base at a time when they weren't forced to that bag. So with that logic, the double play, of course, is the first 2 outs. But then when they appeal that R2 missed third, that's an appeal of a base that the runner was not forced to touch at the time that they missed it. And for that reason, it's a timing play, and thus R3, their run does count because it occurred before R2 was called out on appeal. Case play number 9. Bases loaded and 1 out. B5 hits a home run out of the park. While advancing to second base, B5 passes R1 and B5 is declared out. R1 fails to touch second base, but touches third base on the way home. The defense appeals the miss of second base, and R1 is called out. How many runs score? The correct answer here is C, and 2 runs are going to score. This is a fairly common play in that we see a bases loaded grand slam out of the park, and the batter runner sprinting out of the box passes R1. That play happens fairly regularly, and here that results in the second out. And a runner passing is always an immediate out. So in this scenario, that's our second out. Now, after all the runs come around to score, the appeal of R1 missing second is going to be an out, but that's going to be a time play. The reason being, it can't be a force out because a runner that was following in the lineup, the batter, was already called out. And as soon as that happens, we no longer have a force. And because R1 missed second after that out had been made on the batter runner, that was no longer a bag they were forced to at the time that they missed it. So in this scenario, the batter runner is out for passing R1, and that's the second out, and R1 is out for missing second, that's the third out, but that's going to be a time play and will allow the other 2 runners to score. Case play number 10. Bases loaded and 2 outs. B5 hits a home run out of the park. While advancing to second base, B5 passes R1 and B5 is declared out. R1 fails to touch second base, but touches third base on the way home. The defense appeals the miss of second base, and R1 is called out. How many runs score? The correct answer here is C, 2 runs are going to score. Yes, we do have an immediate out when the batter runner passes R1, but the home run resulted in an award of bases. So even though we have the out on the batter runner, we still allow the runners to go through their awarded bases during a dead ball. And because of that, R3 will score, R2 will score, and then the appeal that R1 missed second, that will be an advantageous fourth out because that's one less run that scores against the defense. And if you gave them the choice between the out on the batter runner or the out on R1, they'll take the out on R1 because then R1 and the batter runner do not score. So ultimately, in this play, we have 2 runs score. So there you have it, our review of how a run scores. If you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out our website at umpireclassroom.com. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the field.